The Oilers fall 4-3 in the shootout, and they do it at the hands of the Calgary Flames on a late night loss, 8th round in that very shootout. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream postgame show. Tom Gazzola with you alongside Ben Thomson. I am at the EST Satellite Studios in downtown Edmonton, just outside of Ice District. Benny back at EST Global HQ. Our game analyst, Matt Cassian, will be joining us shortly. We're also going to hear from Reid Wilkins with Reid's Reid, which makes its return to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show. We want to hear from you. Text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. We appreciate it very, very much. By the way, GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around. Turbochargers to ejectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. I saw Cam from GCL Diesel tonight. Great to see him. And lots of excitement in the building. Lots of people anticipating a big year from the Oil. They liked everything at the start, up 3-0. Blow that lead, ultimately fall in the shootout. Like I mentioned before, in the 8th round, not for a lack of trying. They had opportunities, a power play in the last minute and a half of overtime. I mean, a million chances on Dustin Wolf, who was very strong tonight. Stu Skinner disliked the Blake Coleman goal. That was horrendous. Miscommunication there, unnecessary, and a couple of, the fortuitous bounce on the grid-in goal. Can't really blame Stu there. And then I thought the Connor Zary one was a high stick, but evidently not the case after the review from the NHL's War Room. All right, before we get to Cass and Benny, let's get you the scoring summary from this one. In the first, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins would open things up, 9:53 in on the power play. Pretty passing play. McDavid down low to Draisaitl, over to Nugent-Hopkins. He buries it, his first of the year. Then later in the period at 16-11, great shot from Andrew Mangiapane, his first of the year, first as an Oiler from McDavid and Nugent-Hopkins. Really smart play by Mangiapane to get onside after moving the puck back into the neutral zone. They maintain possession. Puck goes over to McDavid. He finds Mangiapane, who regrouped, and then he fires one over the glove of Wolf, 2-zip. Oil in the second period. Edmonton would get that third goal to open it up to a 3-0 lead. Leon Draisaitl's 400th goal of his NHL career on a pretty play from David Tomasek, playing in Zach Hyman's spot on the power play. Second power play goal of the night for the Oil. Nugent-Hopkins, a secondary helper at 8:32. Here comes the comeback at 12:40. Matvei Gridin, he banks one in off of Noah Philp. I have no idea what Darnell Nurse was doing, trying to dangle the defenseman on the rush into the offensive zone. I think a guy like Nurse would be better served maybe just chipping the puck in, maybe chasing, letting the forecheckers get in there. But that wasn't the case as the Flames regroup, send it back the other way, and Gridin scores his first NHL goal off of Noah Philp. Skate, Kadri, and Coronado, the helpers there. Then Connor Zary would get his first. This is the one I thought should have been a high stick. They reviewed it, evidently not. Kind of a mishmash and mess in front of Stu Skinner. Puck goes up in the air off the stick of Regula, and Zary bangs it home. Klapka the assist at 14:47. 3-2 Oil after 2. And the third period, 40 seconds in, the chip in goes to Skinner. He has Bouchard coming back. No idea what both guys were doing. And then Blake Coleman smacks it home to tie it in the shootout. McDavid couldn't score. Kirkland couldn't score. Draisaitl couldn't score. Frost couldn't score. No Frost did score, pardon me. No to Nugent-Hopkins. No to Anderson. Draisaitl did score, pardon me. Tomasek couldn't score. Coronado couldn't score. No to Howard. No to Gridin. No to Savoy. No to Sharangovich. No to Bouchard. No to Zary. No to Kasperi Kapanen, who rings it off the crossbar, and then Nazem Kadri tucks it home in the 8th round. Shots on goal, 35-22 in favor of Edmonton. Face-offs, the Flames win the battle 51.7% to 48.3. Oilers power play, 2 for 4 on the night. PK goes 3 for 4 on the night. Hits officially 35-23 in favor of the Flames. Block shots, 18 for the Oil, 17 for Calgary. Giveaways, 22 for Calgary, 18 for Edmonton. 4 takeaways for the Flames to 3 for the Oilers. 4-3 is your final in the shootout. Let's get Benny Thomson really quickly, and then we'll get to Matt Cassian for his breakdown. Benny.
Man, disappointing, obviously. I thought the first half of the game, I'm sure we're going to be talking about, was solid. I didn't think the Oilers were at their best necessarily, but they looked decent. Coming out to a 3-0 lead is pretty solid. The moment that everything changed for me was a shift from the top line. Connor, Leon, and Frederick with Bouchard and Ekholm, they could not get out of their zone, which led to a bunch of chances for Calgary. Seemed like Swift changed the momentum, and from there the goals ended up rallying up for the Flames there, and it seemed like they carried that momentum pretty much all the way till the end of the third period there. So disappointing. We're gonna obviously break down all the little mistakes, and I'm sure there's gonna be some names that are gonna be brought up more than once. Yes. But it's just disappointing. Once again, it seems like the Oilers just seem to shoot themselves in the foot to start off the year once again. But yeah, it was just disappointing night.
Yes, that's very well said. Good job, Benny. All right, keep an eye on the nasty chat and the text line. Let's bring in our game analyst, Matt Cassian. He is tired. He is angry. He is frustrated. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. Cass, let's get into the breakdown here.
It's game 1, Tom.
Game one.
We can't be that frustrated yet.
Not yet.
The start of the game was great. The first 30 minutes were fantastic. They outplayed. They dominated. They had all the momentum, all the juice. There wasn't much of anything there from the Calgary Flames. And you pointed it out, Tom. The turning point in that game was Darnell Nurse trying to go 1-on-3.
Why?
Well, the team was changing.
Why?
So late in the shift, 1-on-3. Because even if he tries to carry the puck and he just tries to step wide and kind of gets angled off, it's a nothing burger of a play. Now, it's still a very unlucky bounce. Right? It's still an unlucky bounce. It's not like there was further horrible breakdowns. It's like, well, you didn't get the puck in deep. It was a turnover. Puck's coming back the other way. You had players back, and it just took an unlucky bounce off a guy's skate whose actually toes were even pointing the proper direction. Like he's turned to face up ice to find danger, and it just a unlucky cream off his skate. And after that, all of a sudden, Calgary gets some life. So you do have to credit the Flames for, yes, it was a bounce, but then they found some gas a little bit. And even then, it wasn't like it felt like Calgary had a ton of momentum, but Edmonton kind of let off the gas a little bit after that as well. Now you take a penalty. Again, a lot of stick infractions today. And that's what ends up with the puck in the back of your net again. And that high sticking to me was close. That was close. And am I biased? Maybe, Connor Zary was a Kamloops Blazer and I was a Kamloops Blazer. So as I tell with those guys, it's like I hope they score 3 goals and the Oilers win 4-3. That's right. With the old Blazer guys when they're out there. But it was so close to me with where it looked like it hit on the stick, and it seemed like every single camera angle, and I rewound it a couple times, is like it was either blocked by somebody's arm or somebody's body to get a perfect look at it. So could it have been above? Possibly, but there just wasn't enough there for them to overturn it. If the call on the ice would have been no goal, it would have stayed no goal. So it's tricky. You can be frustrated on that, but that's 2 bounces. You can't fault Skinner on either of those. Unlucky bounces on the first one or unlucky bounce on the first one. A great patience play by Zary on that second one. Then you could look at the Oilers defenseman and say, hey, you should have been clearing the body instead of swinging at it, waving it with your stick. Yeah. And so you let off the gas. Third period, kind of more of the same. All of a sudden, Calgary had some life. And listen, the Stuart Skinner mistake with the communication and Evan Bouchard, that was a mistake. And I pinned that one on Stuart Skinner. Yep. Can't happen. Yep. That can't happen. Like if there's danger there at all, if you're aware of the danger, just freeze it. Just freeze it. Yeah, you don't maintain possession, but this isn't 3-on-3 overtime at that point. You're up a goal. Calgary's starting to feel a little bit. They have the momentum. Just freeze the puck. Yeah. Get some fresh guys out. Get a look at it. So a couple mistakes Power play looked pretty good. Penalty killing, Tom, was not as atrocious and scary as I thought, which is a good thing. So there were some good things. There were some not as good things. You let a team back into it, even if it was with the bounces, and you didn't find a way to regain the momentum. The power play did have plenty of opportunity to put it away. Now they had some chances. It wasn't like it wasn't dangerous. It wasn't like they didn't generate. But at the end of the day, you had a full ride in overtime in a 4-on-3 situation to close it out, and you didn't. And the start of that power play wasn't very good. Puck all the way down the ice a couple of times. So some good things, Tom, some not as good things. Nobody panic. Only the Toronto Maple Leafs can go 82-0, so we'll be okay.
The Leafs winning today against the Habs, by the way. Golden Knights fall in the shootout to the LA Kings. And then the other game was Boston 3-1 over Washington. That's your out-of-town scoreboard. Todd Gazzola, Matt Cassian, Ben Thomson with you as the Oilers fall 4-3 in game one of the season to the Calgary Flames in the shootout. Let's go to the inbox, 780-218-9999. You can also get into the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. We appreciate you. Late one tonight. Yes, 8 o'clock start, but I think it was about 8:20 when they actually dropped the puck. Here's EA. Good to hear from EA texting in. Says, welcome back, Tommy and the crew. I'd be remiss to not mention a certain stat, 864. I have a feeling this will be a hot topic for yet another season. EA, I think you're right. I'm oddly curious to see what people have to say about Stu Skinner. You heard Cass say it there, that third goal on him. Cover it up, make the move. Didn't happen, and the miscommunication leads to the equalizer. This one, Juan says, season's greetings, boys. 8 rounds and Mangiapane doesn't shoot. Roslovic has Skinner vibes. The Oilers signing Jack Roslovic. We'll hear from Stan Bowman later on in the show, and Reid Wilkins will stop by as well. Okay. Let's, Cass, just give me your overall thought of Skinner. I know you kind of went on and said you're not blaming him. I'm not blaming him for those first two. Third one, yes. EA makes a good point. I don't think we can avoid the Skinner conversation, especially when there's goals like tonight. It's going to be a big thing pretty much every game, unless he's, I don't know, perfect or close to it on most nights.
Tom, well, I joke about it last season is like Skinner could have a shutout and it still wouldn't be good enough for some people because he should have scored a goal too. Like that was last season. And I already said it, like that can't happen, right? Like that mistake can't happen. You get as a goalie, I think you get one of those every 10 games.
Yeah.
Right. You get one blatant mistake like that every 10 games. So he just used his up. So that was not acceptable. But outside of that, Tom, like he actually looked pretty steady from a rebound control. Like wasn't too scrambly today. People would always say from a shootout standpoint, oh, they hit the post, he got beaten. And our own Joaquin Gage, although he's not dancing after this game, would typically say that means I took away everything and the only thing he had to hit was the post.
Right.
Because I took away the rest of the net.
Right.
So you can't say that he was bad in the shootout because he wasn't. One goal was his fault. You can't, one that was potentially a high stick. You can't really blame him on that one. You can't blame him on the Philp one. Redirection. So, you had one that was his fault. Now, the unfortunate part is it's at the timing and at a juncture in the game where that type of goal just can't happen. So I think it's fair to critique him on that. It's fair to say that wasn't good enough, that he has to sort that through. It's not a player like Bouchard's not a rookie here that hasn't been around, that you haven't played with. So from a communication standpoint, you should know what's going on. Both of you should know what's going on. Did Bouch get a little too close to him? Maybe, but he's getting there because he sees danger.
Yep.
And then it's like, okay, well, danger over. I'm going to peel off to the corner. And it just wasn't dealt with properly. But I don't know. Outside of that, guys, like Benny, because I don't get to hear your opinion that often. I want to hear what you think. Let's hear what Benny the Jet feels.
I heard Benny the Jet snicker while you were describing what happened tonight with Skinner.
So like you were mentioning, Cass, the first two goals, I don't blame Stu. I don't. And some people are going to because it's easy to. But I don't blame Stu, okay? The Philip redirection is such a fluky random bounce that you can't predict, and it's hard for a goalie to pick up on that right away. And the Connor Zary bat in, my opinion, probably a high stick, but it was kind of a tough call, so I understood why they didn't overturn it. It's also like another sorry, hold on, some guys getting kicked out here. But it's just another I'm getting in full effect today. Listen, like the bad in from Zary is I don't blame Stu on that. Why isn't the defenseman clearing him out? It's a great question. The third goal, it's disappointing. You want him to freeze that, but to me there was a lot around Skinner was the problem tonight. It wasn't to me. You can't pin it on just him tonight. He made some nice stops in the shootout. Why did the Oilers score more than one goal in the shootout? Huh? Why are we not like he stopped? How many rounds ago? 9, I think.
8.
He went 6 for 8.
2.
That's pretty damn good in the shootout.
Yeah.
Why are we not talking about that? It's disappointing from him. I felt once again the first half of the game they came out flying. It looked good. Mm-hmm. They fell asleep, probably got a little too comfortable. There were guys that I thought stood out tonight for the Oilers, but a couple that were pretty sleepy. And I'm saying some of those names are in the nasty chat. But I don't know. We'll get into that later, I guess. But
okay, let's get into it. Okay. Cass, and I'm glad Brittany brings that up. Like who did stand out to you in a positive way, and who did you want to see more from tonight?
Yeah, well, I think Tomasek is the easy one that I think most people will say stood out in a positive way, and part of that just is a beautiful play for Draisaitl's 400th goal on the power play. Great heads up play. Takes a skill player to make that, and the shifts that he was out there, and even on the power play early, the next one, or I guess one of those next one, but the overtime one, he looked pretty good. Looked dangerous, big body in front, difficult to move. Established his ice well in front, and from what I saw when the rotation was going, he read it decently well, because that is a skill. Where's the puck going and sliding to the side and creating some options that I thought he handled quite well. So he looked really good. Would have liked a little more from Frederick at times. I thought, not that he was horrible, but I thought for opportunity, he was just kind of meh. Okay. I didn't see enough buzzing around the net with him. And granted, yes, sometimes it's a possession game with McDavid and Draisaitl, and you have to find ways to slide in and out. But I didn't see quite enough with him on that. Darnell Nurse, I thought, was just very okay. In the game. Bouchard, I know a lot of people are going to probably hammer him and have been in the chat. I don't think he was that bad. I thought the defensive grouping as a whole, even though I just called out Nurse, but that's just more for the trying to dangle guys and the puck coming back the other way. The defensemen I thought actually were okay. It was more sleepy for some of the forwards than the defensemen, in my opinion. What did you guys think of Howard? Because if I was doing player grades today, and maybe it's just I don't know, I didn't see. Maybe he didn't have enough ice time. I got to even double check how much he played, but it kind of felt like I didn't really notice much from him.
Tom, your mic's lost audio. Seems like.
Oh yeah, I muted myself. There we go. Ike Howard, I didn't really notice that much. Yeah. Like you, Cass, I was saying that into a void, obviously, with the mic being muted. But Howard's stat line, donuts across the board, 10:43 time on ice. There were a few penalties in the middle frame and in the third period too, where maybe that took away his ice time. The one thing I did notice about him, he's not afraid to take shots. Yeah. I think he flinged a couple pucks. They missed the net, but he wasn't afraid to take shots. He ended up with a shot on goal tonight. I think, again, it's going to take him a little bit of time to get in there. Matt Savoy, I think those two are going to be lumped together this season, and understandably so. Also, donuts across the board. 12:32 time on ice. He got 17 seconds on the power play. Played 2:01 on the PK. I know they want to kind of give him a little bit of that responsibility, but a feeling out process for both of those guys. So I'm not going to look at them and be like, that was unacceptable by any means. I think those two just need to find their groove a little bit. Savoy obviously still a little bit ahead of the curve when it comes to Howard and him and where they're at. But no, I don't know. There were some guys that were sleepy. I was surprised with a bit of the sloppiness, although it is the first game of the year, so take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, it's disappointing. You get a 3-goal lead, like Betty says, and then you let the momentum go against you, and you kind of create your own misfortune with plays that veterans shouldn't make. So and then you could see the Flames. They could taste it. They could sense they have a bit of life thanks to what the Oilers gave them.
Yeah, I'm about the Howard and Savoy. To me, I thought Savoy stuck out a little more. I think you can tell he's had a year of pro under his belt a little bit. Like I think he sees the game a little bit better. And I liked his effort on the PK today. I thought he broke up a lot of plays. Was in and around, blocked, I think 2 or 3 like shots on net near the end of the second period, I believe. Some big ones near the end. So I thought he looked pretty solid. But yeah, to me, I wanted a little bit more out of Frederick for a guy that's as with his stature and his skill level and playing with those guys, the opportunity he has. I feel like they lacked a little bit of like he lacked just presence in the game. Like to me, I didn't really notice him. I would have loved to see that. Dusty mentions in the chat, like I jot down notes for today, and in big letters at the bottom end of the paper, I have Tomasek in all caps. This guy is getting the full like Zach Hyman treatment. Like first game, and I'm stunned. I don't think anyone in oil country, maybe except Tony from BP, was predicting that. But like just to think that he was out in 4-on-3 overtime, in overtime with the Oilers up a man on a power play, sitting net front with Connor and Leon and Bouchard working up top. It's ridiculous to me. Would I have given him that opportunity? I'm not 100% sure, but I didn't think he was horrible. And he made a great play on that power play in the first period. Or was that second period? Second period. Yeah, like
couple of stick penalties.
So guys, here's the thing. Yeah, the 2 penalties weren't good
for sure.
And the one in with the by the feet just wasn't good.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about going with him on the power play, and even that 4-on-3 in overtime, is that right shot is so huge.
Yeah,
like having that right shot is so huge. Where if for the net front guy in particular, because if you're thinking tactically. You know, if you're looking or you're moving the puck across to Leon, having someone that's right-handed means that if you're closing on the post, which is what you're supposed to do, when the puck goes to Leon, you're sliding to that backside and you're basically lining your feet up almost on the post. You see Zach Hyman do this all the time because pucks will bounce off you. You're right there, and then your stick's on top of the crease. Where if you're a left-handed guy and you're net front and the puck goes to Leon in Leon's kitchen there, well, now all of a sudden your hands are jammed at the post, and in order to open up your blade, like you have basically nothing of a net to shoot at. You're trying to shovel it in really from there, or shoveling it is much more difficult. So having a righty in that position is really good. And as I said earlier, like what I did notice when he was net front, he did move quite well. Like he was fairly, I would say, affluent early on from a power play standpoint of some of his timing in and out in front of the net. So I'm not surprised at all they gave him the opportunity there. And really, guys, I'm just doing this because I picked him to be on the top line to start the season. So I just game number 2, it would help me out.
Dust those shoulders off, Matty. Yep. Dust those shoulders off. Okay, a couple of texts, some final thoughts from Cass. I know he's got early mornings, although the girls aren't in school right now, but
doesn't mean it's not an early morning.
I know.
They will be. They will be up and at 'em, school or no school. Those girls, they will be awake.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Doesn't sign text guy. Texts in. He says, "Who in their right mind takes a top 5 center in the NHL and tries to make them a winger? It is not sustainable." And then this text says, "When you're playing with 29 and 97, you don't have a lot of pedestrian outings." That's fair. No. This one it's from Conroe, Texas, says, "I'm having flashbacks. Skinner was horrible and indecisive. The deflection was from the dot. All Skinner has to do is stand there for some reason. He's flopping on the ice. Third goal, classic Skinner, brain dead. Good news is he can only be better from here." Right. That's from Conroe, Texas. Dirk, says, "Typical expletive Swiss cheese goaltending, and everyone will keep defending him. Enough. It's already game 1, and we're getting that." This one says, "Love Boosh, but not a great game from him. Made a couple of bad passes when it was 3-0 to give Calgary some momentum. Nurse got caught on the first goal. Savoy and Howard looked a little nervous. Tomasek looked good. Only game 1. Still a long way to go." Keep those texts coming in. 780-218-9999. Gazzola, Cassian, and Betty Thomson with you here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream postgame show. We're going to get a final thought from Cass. And we can't not discuss this. During the game, it was announced the Oilers had added forward Jack Roslovic. I'll just read some of the press release here. There was an impromptu scrum press conference with Stan Bowman in the press box last night during the second intermission. Reid Wilkins passed along some of the audio. We were in there. We'll probably get to some of that a little bit later, maybe a minute or two of it. Roslovic, 6'1", just under 200 pounds. He's 28 years old. Last year played with Carolina, 81 games, 22 goals, 17 assists, 39 points. Had a goal and 3 assists in 9 playoff games. The 22 goals was a tie for his career high and was third among Carolina forwards. So this is a guy, he's a right shot, guys. And Cass, I know there was some discussion that maybe he'd be coming to Edmonton. Belsey brought it up on Hello Hockey with Pagnotta. The Oilers make this happen. Why does this make sense? Where does he fit in? What do you think of the move, Cass, before we say goodnight to you?
Yeah. Why does it make sense? He's a guy that scored 20 last year. And granted, that's matching his career high back from 21-22 with Columbus in terms of goals scored from a season standpoint. So it's not like he's been a perennial 20-goal scorer, but he has shown that with the right players, he can put up some points. Not a little guy, and he's a right shot. So when we're thinking about the Edmonton Oilers and we're thinking about depth, guys we didn't talk about necessarily tonight as much. Philp, guy we didn't talk about as much tonight. Now he had a great start to the game, and then I think that line as a whole kind of faded a little bit. Like they were able to generate some momentum early, had some really good shifts. And then when the game got a little tighter and maybe their minutes went down, they just weren't rolling as much as they were. So Roslovic would be a guy that can step in from a third line center spot and just gives you flexibility, flexibility on draws, right? In terms of taking faceoffs from a handed standpoint, flexibility from a penalty killing standpoint. Like it gives you more flex in your lineup from a guy that isn't a young guy, right? Like he's not a rookie. Not that he's old guy, but he's a veteran player that has put up points in this league and shown that he can do that. So he ticks a lot of boxes. And if we're thinking from a depth standpoint and dealing with injuries over the course of a long season and being able to play in the playoffs, well, now you got a guy, another guy that is just a veteran player. And it creates competition. There are going to be some tougher decisions now to who sends down, who's going to get that ice time. But really, he just makes your team a little deeper, a little better, which is okay, guys. It's a good thing.
He's consistently been a 40-point guy in the National Hockey League. He had a down season in 23-24, spent half of it with Columbus, ended up with the Rangers, had 31 points that year, 39 last year with the Canes. You look at his best seasons, they were in Columbus, 45 points in 21-22, 44 points in 22-23. Generally stays healthy. I mean, he's always at high 70s. He's had a few seasons, 81 games, 81 last year, 81 in 21-22, 77 in 18-19 with Winnipeg. So that's a good ad, good veteran player. And like you said, Cassian outlined a centerman that's a right shot with the experience. So the Oilers add Jack Roslovic to the lineup, signing him tonight, and we will hear from Stan Bowman a little bit later on. All right, Cass, great work tonight. Get your rest, and we'll talk to you on Saturday.
See you guys. Looking forward to it.
That is our game analyst, Matt Kassian, helping us break down the Oilers' 4-3 shootout loss to the Calgary Flames. They spoiled the party tonight. Good vibe at Rogers Place. Really nice to see everybody back, and the games matter, and the NHL season, the Oilers season, is underway. All right, keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. Nasty chat, do your thing. We will hear from Reid Wilkins. Reid is back this season for home games. He was working the locker room. Hernan Salas was also at Rogers Place, as was Matty Awanek. Let's go to this one from Big Dave. Says, do we think the Roslovic signing makes a big impact? Anyway, we could blame the loss on the mid-game announcement. Big Dave, I wouldn't put it on the mid-game announcement. I know. I talked to Oilers PR and like during that Stan Bowman availability, it just kind of like happened, and they're like, all right, we'll get Stan to talk. And then it's like, okay, get the cameras up there. It all came together, kind of just, it was slapped together, but better to have it than to not have it. No, I wouldn't blame the announcement mid-game on changing anything. I don't think the players cared. They probably knew that something was in the works, and mid-game they don't really pay attention to that stuff. Do I think Roslovic makes a big impact? I think there's a chance for him to tilt things in a positive way here. I feel like if things don't go well for the younger guys and maybe Howard has to go back to the minors and get some seasoning there. Maybe Savoy, probably less likely Savoy, but or Philip or something like that. Like now you have another veteran guy that has been proven in the NHL and he gives you, like I said, 30 to 40 points every season. I think it's good. And talked about the depth and you talked about pushing guys down and creating competition. So good signing. And I think the deal was what, 1.5 million, Benny?
Yep, 1.5 on a 1-year deal. So it doesn't hurt. Like one of those type of deals. It's a little bit above league average or league minimum. But like you said, like if Ike Howard needs to go in the AHL to develop, which isn't a bad idea. Obviously we're judging off of one regular season game, but he
too soon. But
but
that happens.
Yeah, right. But it's just another solid option to have in your middle six. I read somewhere that Jack Roslovic was Carolina's best 5-on-5 scorer or something. That might be wrong. But from the universe of Twitter, I think is where I read that during the game. But yeah, the all reliable. But I did see he has 37 points of 5-on-5. So it was only 2 points he got on the power play last year in Carolina. So it's not a bad signing at all. It could push out a guy like Ike Howard, or maybe there's injuries throughout the year, or I would consider Roslovic an upgrade over Captain personally. Like that's just
yes, good point.
I know you feel the same with me.
Well, yeah.
Like it's like I think Captain didn't even have like a bad games or anything. It's just like Roslovic has more of a upside than Captain does, like offensively. That's just I would say Captain provides more physicality, and so it depends what you need
when he wants to. Absolutely,
100%. So I could see, to me, like how they like to plug in Captain sometimes those in the top six there. I could see that taking over, Roslovic taking that over from Captain. Like that to me would make a lot more sense. He's more of a skill guy, puts up points, generates offense by himself, and can help some of those top guys. So yeah, I was happy to see that signing for them. I thought it was a good signing, and Stan did some good work.
Roslovic, pardon me. Just looking at he was dash 10 last year. I know, you got to take plus minus with a grain of salt, but that was a fairly good Carolina Hurricanes team, and he ended up on in the dash ledger, so that's not great at minus 10. But we'll see. We'll see if he can clean up his defensive game. Maybe that's not all on him last year. One thing though that I'm just curious about this. Like, how long does Trent Frederick with the top two guys last?
To me, well, for at least for a little bit there, he didn't last the game. Mangiapane got put there for a couple of shifts, but
right.
I'd pull it. I'd pull it next game. Honestly, I've never been a big fan of pairing Leon and Connor together. And if Reid's theory is true, which there's no factual, he doesn't know anything any of us know about that whole situation where Connor's asking to play with Leon. But
it was just it was a thought he had.
Yeah,
maybe he said let us go and take the game early, which they did tonight, but then blew it anyway. So
100%. To me, I've always liked them split up. I've always liked the dynamic 1-2 punch. I think, as much as we love to talk about how Podkolzin maybe isn't a top 6 forward, he certainly plays well with Leon. I think you can give Podkolzin a role, a bigger role with Leon. If he gets
I'm just kidding.
Maybe pair Tomasek on the right side there, Tom, and then you'll have your two favorite players with Leon.
I have no qualms with Tomasek. It is the principle of going to Europe and getting these guys that no one's heard of and expecting something of them.
I know.
Tomasek has been a very pleasant surprise. I admit, so far I'm wrong, and that's fine. That's fine. I don't hate him.
No,
I actually appreciate how good he's been so far.
He has been great. He's filled in, like I was mentioning earlier, kind of that weird, like it's weird how he's kind of filling in that Zach Hyman role in a way, but
a little bit.
Yeah. So to me, you split them up. I think to me, the best line tonight was Nuge, Savoy, Mangiapane, in my opinion. I thought Nuge was the best player on the Oilers tonight. 3 points. Seemed like he was great in his own end. There was that one chance at the end of the second or end of the third period where he stole it off court. I think it was end of the third. Shorthanded. pickpocket Coronado for a chance to slot. I thought Nuge looked great tonight with Sav and Mangiapane, but maybe you put Mangiapane with Connor and I don't even know. To me, like Frederick, you kind of got your chance in preseason, and tonight doesn't really show too much. Maybe they go with him for a couple more games, but overall, man, I wasn't a big believer into it to start, and tonight didn't persuade me the other way.
All right. Well said, Benny. Well said. All right. We'll probably hear from some players in the locker room. You working on that, Ben?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, we'll get to some post-game thoughts from inside the Oilers locker room. Late one tonight, Oilers fall 4-3 in the shootout at the hands of the Calgary Flames. Nazem Kadri in the 8th round of the shootout gets it done for the pesky Flames. You give them an opportunity, you give them an inch, they take a mile, and that's, you know what, they're plucky, they're pesky, they've got good goaltender. I thought Dustin Wolf made some nice saves tonight. I don't think he was brilliant by any means, but I thought he was good, especially when it counted later in the game. And then on the power play the Oilers had in overtime. Let's get some thoughts from the nasty chat and the inbox. 780-218-9999. Reid Wilkins will be stopping by. He says about 5-6 minutes from now. He'll have his Reid's Read brought to you by Ewell. Let's go to C. Hendo texting in. C. Hendo says, hey, Tommy and Benny, only one game, so most of these errors don't carry the same weight as if they're made 20 games from now. A little sloppy from a few players. I'm sure most of the kinks will get fixed, and obviously losing game one is not a big deal given the last 2 years, but it sure would have been nice to have one game with the save percentage above 900. See, Hendo, yes, that is true.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with that. It didn't happen tonight, and it has been brought up by a bunch of texters and listeners and viewers. Brandon says, let the Skinner hate train begin, with a laughing emoji, and adds, I'm done with Frederick on that line already. Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of surprised to see Frederick up there. Didn't see a ton in the preseason. I think there was one game where he banged in a goal.
Yeah.
I think it was against Seattle.
Yeah.
You need some of that. And he did go to the net tonight. It's just, let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
It's just, it didn't wow me. I feel like a lot of people kind of sense the same thing, but let's see if they could find something and to just pull the plug on it, a few preseason games and one regular season game in, I think would be a little bit premature, but we'll see if they stick with it on Saturday. I'm assuming they probably will. We'll see if they get Roslovic in there. We'll see if he needs a little bit of practice time before they decide to play him. I'm sure we're going to hear from and see him in the next day or two. Let's go to this text. Says, guys, I don't watch teams other than the Oilers, so I really don't know. What is Freddie supposed to be bringing? Toughness, should create space. He could bang and crash. And he has scored 17 and 18 goals in seasons past. So he does have a little bit of offense to him. Mm-hmm. He is supposed to, as I was told by people with the Oilers, replace the toughness that was left behind when Evander Kane was sent to the Vancouver Canucks. So that's kind of a Cole's Notes version of what Frederick is supposed to bring. Let's go to Jace. Says, I'm surprised Roslovic got Tomasek money. Jace, well said. Very funny. Very funny. Dolphin Nation just tuning in, driving home from the game. Why was that goal not a high stick? Dolphin Nation, we're with you on that. We thought it was a high stick. I was sitting in the press box. All of us looked at it. We're like, that looked like a high stick. Why is it a high stick? They challenged it, and they didn't have enough to overturn it. So it stood as a goal. That's Connor Zeri's goal. Bit of a scramble in front of Stu Skinner. I don't think we're pinning that one on him. The third goal, the Coleman goal, absolutely. Yeah. We will put on Stu Skinner. All right. Somebody asking for Trent Frederick's stat line for tonight. He played 16:46, took a penalty, +1. He had 19 shifts, 2 hits. And I'm just looking here. What else did he have? Any block shots? No shots on goal. No giveaways, no takeaways. So +1 with 2 hits for Trent Frederick, 16:46 time on ice. All right, let's look at a few more. A bunch of texts coming in. A lot of people staying up late. We appreciate that very much. We'll go to Alberta Poker Inc. Let's hear your thoughts on Roslovic. Okay, we kind of gave those a good veteran signing. Ryan from Sask getting in there says, anyone else think Frederic is a strange fit on that top line? Assuming he's there for his forechecking ability, but I'm not sure he has good enough puck skills or offensive acumen to play with the big boys. I think he would be more noticeable down the lineup. Just my thoughts. Ben is a great addition to the show. Thank you, Ryan from Sask. We like having Ben as well. If the Latino Heat doesn't want to do the late nights and he needs his rest for his show in the afternoons, that's okay, because we got Benny bringing some energy and some takes, which is was great. So we're looking forward to that. The Frederic thing, I'm still a little bit surprised by it, but I'm me personally willing to let it breathe a little bit, see if he can find something. And again, if he can figure out a way to just create space for those guys and be a nuisance in front of the opposition net, okay, have a puck go out off his ass and in.
Yeah,
great,
sure,
yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask you this: what did you think of Connor and Leon being a PK duo tonight?
I don't love it, just out of principle.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I'm not for it. Like I just to me, like obviously it's like you want them to be playing big minutes for you guys, of course. But like, what if they block a shot weird on that PK? Man?
I thought the same thing.
Like it's just like to me, I wouldn't even want to risk it. You're relying. I love when the Oilers would go and they kill off a penalty and they throw up McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman. I loved it because all the top guys in the other team are off the ice now. They're throwing their third or fourth line out there, and now it's McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman going at it, right? So yeah. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of it either, but I know there are some people that are for it. So yeah.
I don't know. I just wouldn't risk the injury, like you said, Benny.
Yeah.
Okay, I see Reid Wilkins. He's clasping his hands. I'm going to quote what he just tweeted 32 minutes ago. 8-round shootout, whatever. The Oilers fall 4-3 in the shootout. Nazem Kadri scoring the shootout winner. Reid returns every home game, and it's brought to you by Ewell, your power play specialist. Ewell has the great gear you need for your next electrical project, with 3 Edmonton area locations, and you can order online anytime at ewell.ca. Ewell, your Edmonton-based partner in power and source for all things electrical. This guy's going to bring the power because he is electrified after the first game of the regular season. Rick, good day, sir. Great to have you back this season on the postgame show, especially for home games with Reid, brought to you by Ewell. What are your initial thoughts from Edmonton's loss tonight?
All right, how's my audio, first of all?
Why are you yelling at me, Reid?
Is it too loud?
I brought you in nicely. I pumped up your tires, and then you scream at me like that. I'm kidding. You're okay. Let's hear it. Now you're too quiet. Way too quiet.
The reason I tweeted check, better?
A little hot, but better.
Okay, well, it's very sensitive. The reason I tweeted 8 rounds, whatever, is because I made a mistake in my first tweet. It was 7 rounds. So even I was in preseason form tonight. What a terrible hockey game. I mean, I thought the preseason was over. This was a putrid performance by both clubs. This was preseason quality hockey, and it counts in the standings. Good for Calgary. They toughed it out and got the extra point, and the Oilers flat out blew it because the Flames did everything in their power through 30 minutes to hand the Oilers this game, and the Oilers refused to take it. So Calgary, through the first 30 minutes of the game, I didn't just wonder if the Flames were going to score a goal tonight. I wondered if they were going to score a goal this season. They had nothing going on the attack. They showed little skill, and they showed little interest in trying to win the game. They were awful. And then the Oilers turned it around and were just as bad. The sequence that led to the goal to win it off Philp, Gradin's goal, the Oilers gave the puck away for 2 minutes straight, everybody. It wasn't 20 seconds. It wasn't 2 shifts. Actually, it was a little over 2 minutes straight. 2 consecutive minutes of turnovers and flubbing what should have been easy clearing attempts. And then the puck goes in off Philp on the centering pass. Now, you talk about it being just a poorly executed night. Connor Zeri's goal was an obvious high stick. There was the one angle in which you could not see the puck below the crossbar, and then it appeared at a certain angle and went in. I don't know how that goal counted.
Me neither, brother.
The terrible call. So video review had a bad night. So then it's 3-2. Then Stuart Skinner makes a monumental gaffe. Just a terrible error. I mean, he said it. He knows he has to move the puck faster. Well, yeah, or fall on it. I mean, I thought the most difficult part of that play was going to be him. There's always those bouncing pucks that come in, and it's like, okay, what if it bounces sideways?
Sure.
He did a good job to handle it. You can't stand there and wait. Okay, maybe he thought Bush was going to do something. And sure, like I saw a little bit of like, well, what's Bush doing? Fine. But that's on Skinner.
That's on Skinner.
Play the puck or shuffle it to the corner. You can't stand there and dare the guy to tap it between your legs. So that's an absolute huge gaffe by Skinner. And then the game's tied. Now I guess, the Oilers had a couple good chances in the third. They had some pressure when Frederick took the tripping penalty. I will give them credit for killing off the power play late in the third and into overtime. And Skinner, I think, probably made his best save of the night on the Frost chance on the one-timer in overtime. So that was a big save. And then massive mistake by whichever official called Mackenzie Weegar on that penalty. That's a classic move by McDavid, but he didn't execute it as well as he usually does. He usually thrusts his hand into the gut of the player he's trying to skate past, and then instinctively the guy will grab it, or it looks like he's grabbing it.
Yes.
He actually had his hand up around Weegar's head and shoulders, and Weegar kind of replied and did not hold McDavid. I could see why Weegar was mad.
Well, yeah.
I could see why he used the magic words and got himself thrown, because he's probably thinking, well, I can get thrown out because I've already got a penalty. So either they're going to score or it'll go to a shootout in which I won't get used unless it goes 6 or 7 rounds. Oh, he probably would have shot.
Yeah.
That was a horrible call. I thought both teams were way below their potential. I thought the video review was bad. Skinner made a horrible error. I thought that was a bad penalty call in overtime. And then to top it off, I had an inaccurate tweet right after the game. Terrible night, preseason quality. I'm disgusted by most of this evening.
I can tell. You're a hot tamale right now. Forget the Latino heat. We got the Reid heat right now. Let's get this guy a cigarette because he's on fire. Reid Wilkins joining us now. It's Reid's Reid, brought to you by Ewell. Listen, we were talking about Trent Frederick on the top line. How long does that last? We're praising David Tomasek for the game. He had a couple of penalties there, though, Reid. The Stu Skinner stuff, you're going to deal with it tomorrow on your show. There's been a bunch of people, bringing up the sub 900 save percentage stuff. Do you want to jump on any of that?
Well, I think I said it. The third goal is a terrible goal against.
Yeah.
I'm not going to harp. Like I always say, I don't sit here and harp on every single goal because goals do go in. I mean, if Mangiapane's goal were on Skinner, well, you can't get beat up high like that. Well, Dustin Wolf got beat. Like goals do go in. Shots do beat goaltenders. Like Nugent Hopkins' goal, Wolf got 90% of it.
Yep.
Still squeaked through him. Like pucks go in. But the third goal against is like it's an awful mistake. I don't know how else to state it.
It was bad.
That's the one I would focus on. It tied the game. It probably gave if the rest of the third period goes the same, and Stu even said this in his availability, it ties the game. So that's the one for me. Like you can't make a mistake of that magnitude. I was going to say in that situation, you shouldn't make a mistake of that magnitude ever, even if your team's up 8-0. It was a bad, terrible mistake.
Fair enough. What impression did you get from the two young guys, Howard and Savoy, tonight?
Howard, I don't know. I think just maybe okay for both of them. Howard had that walk-in when he walked in front. I got it written down here, about 7:50 left in the third. Didn't get a shot away. That'll probably come with experience. Like it's the confidence to try extra dangle, but hopefully he realizes he's on the team to shoot, and he's just got to let it fly. Mm-hmm. I mean, Savoy's interesting to me because even in the preseason, there were some nights in which I didn't notice him a ton, but Knobloch would always praise him. So I think he's just kind of one of those guys. He's in the right place, and maybe they're hoping the offense will come a little bit. What did he get? Played 12 and a half, wound up even. Did have a shootout attempt. I was surprised Knobloch had all three of those guys shoot in succession.
Yeah. Tomasek,
Howard, and Savoy. That's good for Knobloch for doing that. I don't know if I would have done that. I mean, I might have used Mangiapane. I don't know what I'd have to check Mangiapane's career shootout stats. Right. I was a little surprised with that order.
Those shots were uninspired. There was some uninspired shootout attempts from both sides in that one.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the ice gets a little choppy, right? Yeah. So they're probably, maybe sometimes they just need to fire away. And so, though I got to say, Draisaitl's deke was beautiful. I don't know if I've seen him try that move before.
That was only 10 for 30 going into that in the shootout.
Yeah, that was a great goal. So Savoy, I guess quiet. Howard, kind of quiet as well. I mean, he actually had 4 shot attempts. Savoy didn't have any, so I guess you could say Howard had the puck a little more. I just wonder about Howard, and I noticed this in the preseason too. I do think there's a decent player there, and I think he's very confident, and he seems to want to shoot. I just wonder about his forechecking and his puck retrieval right now. I think that might be something he has to learn. Yeah. I wonder if he's the easy option to send down with Roslovic coming in.
Probably,
or they'll have to, or like they'll have to do something tomorrow.
Yep.
Or if they expose Stetcher or Lazar even to waivers. I don't know if they'd want to do that yet, but I think there's a player there with Howard. I don't think he's quite as well-rounded as Savoy. Tomasek was interesting because he's a big guy. He's got some hands. I think he has some awareness. Like that was a nifty pass on the power play to Draisaitl. But to me, those were very inexperienced penalties. Those were penalties that indicated, that kind of showed he hadn't played in the NHL before. Waving his stick into a guy's feet and then the high stick. And I know that was a continuation of the Cup final when the Oilers took all the high sticking penalties. Yes. and Florida didn't. But to me, those were kind of maybe inexperienced penalties. Maybe you get away with that stick movement in Europe, but in the NHL, there's a guy right there that you're going to hit and knock in the face or knock over. So he was the most. I'm putting him in with the other two, even though he's older.
Sure, but
he was clearly the most noticeable of the three.
All right,
for good and bad.
Reid Wilkins with us. It's Reid's Reid, brought to you by Ewell. You can text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. Brandon says Henrique would have been a good option in the shootout. Yeah. Maybe they choose to go to Henrique next time a little bit quicker. Reid, they do sign, the Oilers do, during the game, Jack Roslovic, centerman, puts up about 30 to 40 points consistently. People are saying he's not great in his own zone, had a -10 on a good Carolina team last year. But you bring this guy in on a team-friendly, $1.5 million deal. What do you think of it? And then how do you think this affects the roster going forward here?
Well, I think the Oilers have signed a highly inconsistent player. But whose upside is that he can score 5-on-5. And as I think we talked about on Edmonton Sports Talk a lot in the summer and through the preseason, that's a challenge for the Oilers. Like I laid out a couple times that there is a goal deficit on this team. There's 59 goals lost from last season.
Correct.
And the players that they're bringing in to replace those, I guess with the exception of Mangiapane and to some extent Frederick, haven't been high-end goal scorers in the NHL. So if he can score 5-on-5, I think that's what this team needs. I mean, that's something that I think they're still trying to address. Mm-hmm. I talked to 3 people whose opinions I trust. One person said, terrible signing, wouldn't touch this guy.
Interesting.
He's one-dimensional. Another person said, pretty good all-around player. And then the third person said, the Oilers have got a guy who is going to be up and down. So probably that's what we're going to have to live with. You might get a player here who might snipe 2 in one game, and then you don't notice for 5 games. and then all of a sudden he gets a scoring chance or another goal, 2 or 3 weeks after his 2-goal game.
That sounds like Kasperi Kapanen, to be honest with you right now.
I think he's better than Kapanen.
Yeah, I agree.
He should be better than Kapanen. I don't know how well he skates. I mean, I've seen him play, but I'll have to see him play for the Oilers. Kapanen did have that one nice rush tonight, by the way, but they don't finish. This is the problem with the Oilers. This is. Look, the 3 position sets for the Oilers, this is how everything turns on its head from a few years ago. The D-core is the strength of this team. And to be fair, as much as I was mocking the Flames offense, like they did a pretty good job. Like Ekholm broke up some plays. Regula got the puck up the ice, they did pretty well. We know the goaltending is going to be a hot topic all season long. Skinner didn't do anything to squash that tonight.
Nope.
But this is... the forward group's a little iffy here with the scoring. So Roslovic, if he can snipe 5-on-5 and gel with somebody, I mean, maybe he bumps Savoy down. Maybe they put him with Nugent Hopkins and Mangiapane, and then Hyman gets back, and then they sort things out from there. So again, it's a low-risk signing. I do think he might be the type of player that frustrates Oil Country. Because they tend to not like the players who are up here one game and invisible the next game. They sooner just have, a steady performance.
I would prefer a steady performance from anyone. But
why was he not signed to this point? Like that is a flag. He clearly wanted more money than other teams were willing to give him, and so then he clearly has some warts.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I mean, he bounced around a little bit the last 3 years. He went, Columbus, New York briefly, then ends up in Carolina for a year, and then he's out and can't find a deal. Was he on the Jets for a brief stint?
He
came in with the Winnipeg Jets, yeah.
He gets points, but he gets moved on. So he's one of those players where teams are like, oh, that'd be cool to have his goal scoring, and then they have him, and then it's like, you know what, we can win without Jack.
Yes.
The good thing for the Oilers... Now, I might eat my words here because this is what I said about Jeff Skinner last year. All he needs to be is the 6th or 7th best forward. But Jeff Skinner wasn't often enough. So can Roslovic be the Oilers' 6th or 7th best forward? If he can, even if he's a little inconsistent, it'll be okay.
Hey, the opportunity looks like it will be there for Jack Roslovic, signed by the Oilers this evening. All right, Reid Wilkins, do you want to add anything going into Saturday, or are you going to handle it all tomorrow on your show?
Well, I mean, I got to be on with Dusty in 7.5 hours, so I get to be disgusted about what a poor quality game this was all over again. I'm curious to see what they'll do on Saturday. Yeah. I mean, did they put Skinner back in net?
Yes.
I would lean towards probably doing that. Again, everybody, I think if you're killing yourself picking apart goals 1 and 2, I would suggest just to take a deep breath and look at other goals that went in around the league. Mm-hmm. I mean, I heard the one, well, why is he not in place to stop Phillips' puck? Like, pucks go in off your own players sometimes. And the Oilers were getting throttled. The Oilers were getting throttled for the 2 minutes leading up to that. But a terrible mistake on the third goal.
Yes.
And I wonder... what are the lines going to be, right? I do think Leon and Connor are going to stay together. I'm sticking with my theory. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Mangiapane did get a look up there late in the game. Not for long. And then obviously Frederick was out late in the game when he got the penalty. Yes. But yeah, like I said, kind of a weird game. I didn't think either team played very well. But this is why I think the Flames can make the playoffs. They should have lost this game 6-1. Quite frankly, the way it went for about 28 minutes. And they won 4-3 in a shootout. This is why I think they're going to get into the playoffs. They will find ways to get points on nights they shouldn't.
96 points last year, almost made the playoffs. All right, listen, you hot little tamale. That was fantastic. You came out guns a-blazing, double barrels. I love it. Go dust yourself off, get some rest, and bring it on the Nielsen Show in 7 hours and 25 minutes now.
Tom, you're the best. Benny, welcome to the Oil Street Postgame Show, and to all our nasties and audience members, I love you. Sleep well.
I love Reid Wilkins. There you go. Reid's Reid, brought to you by Ewell. Great stuff. Reid is bringing it. He is feisty. He is fired up, and I am here for it. All right. We have a few minutes left in the post-game show. The Oilers fall 4-3 in the 8th round of the shootout. They start the season 0-1. They get the Vancouver Canucks Saturday night, another 8 o'clock start there. We do have some post-game audio and video to get to. Benny, since it's your first show, I'll let you pick. Who should we go to first? Who do you think's the best?
I think the man of the hour amongst the chat, Stuart Skinner, we should probably hear from him first, I think.
Let's go to Stu Skinner following Edmonton's 4-3 shootout loss.
Yeah, let's get it over with. I think I just had to make a quicker decision. The game happens fast down there. And it was just kind of a miscommunication. And I was slow to react to, I think it was Coleman behind Bush. And then, it's a goal. Obviously, in the midst of it, if that doesn't go in, we win the game, 2 points. But you know what? I think the way that we responded as a team was fantastic. We were able to get into OT and be able to get out of there in OT as well, I think is huge, especially the way that it happened, us getting on the PK in the first 40 seconds in the overtime. So overall, I thought the way that we battled tonight was fantastic.
So lots of guys who play this game tonight make different mistakes along the way, and they don't necessarily, life of being a goalie. Because otherwise it was a pretty good night for you, but that one thing. Yeah,
it's one bad decision, and it makes you look really bad. And that's just kind of how it goes. The other two, I thought the first one obviously pretty fluky. The second one, I think it's pretty borderline. I'm not too sure what you guys think, but it was just, I don't know. Honestly, I felt good about my game, and I will say that how we played defensively tonight was superb.
Is that the way the game goes sometimes? You guys look like you're cruising, bad bounce, questionable call, and then suddenly everything turns on its head.
Well, and then it's a game, right? Yeah. You're up 3-0, things are going really well, and then they get a bounce, and then you get on your heels, they get a little momentum. Second goal. And then, they're right back in at 3-2. And then starting of the third period, just making a decision like that just kind of really kills momentum, makes it 3-3. So, it was just kind of a weird night, but I think overall we played really good.
Can you see the goal?
Sorry to say, you stopped 6 of 8 in the shootout. You make a bunch of big saves after that goal. But is that the one you kind of go to bed thinking about at night? Is that just the life of a goaltender?
Well, I won't be thinking about it, no. It happens. It's probably the easiest fix I'll probably make this year. Quick decision, throw it in the corner. That's that.
When you see, him playing at the other end, you were making some big saves late. He was too, the shootout. Kind of like the looks of this matchup in net against this team. Like, it was a good battle.
Yeah, it was a great battle. Wolfie made some spectacular saves. He's so athletic. It really is, really fun to watch. I thought he played a great game. I thought I was able to battle and, make some good stops too. I think that was one of my better shootouts that I've had. So I feel like I've gotten better in that aspect. And that's Battle of Alberta, going to the shootout, going 8-9 shooters. It's a fun game.
It's been a while though since you've been in the shootout. You guys didn't have a lot last year.
Yeah, when you got our first line going out 3-on-3, we tend to do some damage. But no matter what, as a goaltender, you always got to be ready for those chances and being ready for the shootout. It has been a while, especially with long playoffs and stuff.
What have you worked on? Why do you feel you gotten better?
All right, there's Stu Skinner talking about the loss tonight. Puts that third one squarely on his shoulders, rightly so. Admits, makes him look bad. It was a bad goal, plain and simple. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then, the other two we talked about. The redirection, I don't know. Those go in, and it's not great, but that was a hot shot off of Philp's skate and then through the wickets of Skinner. And then the second one, I thought it was going to be called back on the high stick to Zary, but the call on the ice stood, and all of a sudden the Oilers find themselves in a battle with the Calgary Flames after being up 3-0. They kind of put it to cruise control, in my opinion. You heard Reid talk about it. You heard Cass talk about Benny too, and it ends up costing them a point tonight. Skinner, by the way, 19 saves on 22 shots. That's an 864 save percentage, 6 of 8 in the shootout. All right, Benny, we do have a little bit of Stan Bowman. He had an impromptu press conference in the press box, second intermission, on the signing of Jack Roslovic. Let's hear from Stan Bowman right now. We'll listen to a little bit.
Talking to Jack going back to the summer, and I know he changed agents, and I talked to his new agent about a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago. We've been in touch the whole time, and I said the same thing to him then that I did, the other day when this picked back up, which was, we love the player. We don't have a lot of money to spend right now, so if he wants to come here and kind of bet on himself and get a chance to play, we'd love to have him. And I think he was obviously weighing his options and came to the decision that this was the place he wanted to be.
Where do you see him more, as a winger or center?
He played probably more wing last year. I think he's played center in the past. I think kind of in general we like guys that have that flexibility. So he's a right-handed center as well, like if we choose to use him there. So it's flexible. I mean, that'll be up to the coaches, but we think he did a little bit of both last year, probably more wing.
Is this kind of like picking up a Kassian last year?
Yeah, I think, we talked about it actually a couple weeks ago, the type of player looking at our team that we would be wanting to look for around the trade deadline would be this type of a player exactly. And, he's available now and he's a free agent and you can get him signed, at a low amount. There's a lot of things that really worked in our favor. So, instead of waiting to see what was available, we think he could be a really nice piece to our group right now. And he's had a good experience as far as even strength scoring last year. I think he might have led their team in even strength points last year. Yeah, 5-on-5. So, that's really an important thing. That's the one thing we're trying to add to our group is, even strength scoring. Obviously, our power play has been pretty strong the last few years. We haven't had as much success scoring when we weren't on the power play, so I think that's something that Jack does really well. So that was a big thing that we think he's going to bring. We also like his speed. He brings a lot of quickness to his game. He can make plays, play with good players. Like, he's been an offensive player, and he plays at a high pace. So I think those qualities fit perfectly with our group here.
Is he eligible for a conditioning stint, or would you try to do that, given that he's missed all the camp?
All right, there's Stan Bowman talking about the signing of Jack Roslovic. Sees him as a winger, likes his speed, points out his 5-on-5 scoring from last year, 37 of 39 points came 5-on-5. So we'll probably be seeing Roslovic by the weekend. Okay, Benny, couple of orders of business to take care of. There are a couple of texts that we could get to first. Actually, Mel texting in says Roslovic centers the second line, news to the top line for the absolute nuclear option. Now, that could be an option, but you heard Bowman talking about him expecting him to play, Roslovic to play on the wing. Anything stand out to you there from Stan Bowman?
Yeah, no, I once again, it's kind of just beating the drum that I think all of us have been. Like, it's another just solid signing. Like, I like how you mentioned that it goes back. They've been keeping tabs on Roslovic for a while, and just from what looking at what insiders have been saying on shows and stuff like that, they've mentioned that Roslovic has been looking for this type of deal from a team, and he didn't want to take a PTO and all this stuff. And so eventually, he had to kind of suck it up and go, all right, well, I'm gonna go take my talents to Edmonton for $1.5 million and try to cash in on playing with some big guys there and get paid this offseason. So it's a win-win. I think Roslovic's gonna have a good chance to produce some points and get paid in the offseason while the Oilers get a solid, high 30s, low 40s point score. And I guess Twitter was right with him leading Carolina in 5-on-5 scoring last year. So that's always nice. Like the Oilers, once again, Tomasek's on the power play one right now, but there's usually not a whole lot of room for guys to come in on the power play here in Edmonton. And so if he can provide some of that 5-on-5 scoring like he did in Carolina, it's a good thing for Edmonton.
Well said, Benny. All right, let's get to the turning point of the game presented by Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy. Connor McDavid's got a team of specialists. You have a bag of frozen peas. Get the same locker room approach that's trusted by the best in the game at Advantage Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today at www.advantagesportmed.ca or call 780-460-9977. Listen, you could go to the play 40 seconds in, the Blake Coleman goal, the misplay by Stu Skinner with, Evan Bouchard there and Coleman smacks it in. Like that would be an easy one, but I really thought that things were definitely turning in favor of the Calgary Flames 100%. When the Connor Zary goal was counted. Because now all of a sudden you go from a 2-goal lead to a 1-goal lead, and the Flames smell blood and they could taste it, and they took advantage. I mean, if the Oilers got the call to go their way, killed off the rest of that penalty, and were able to go back the other way and get another goal, that would have iced it for them. They would have been up 4-1, and I don't think we'd be talking about obviously we wouldn't be talking about a 4-3 shootout loss if that happened. So I think that Connor Zary goal and the subsequent challenge and replay that upheld the goal was the turning point of the game, brought to you by Advantage Sport Med. Benny, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the game had turned before the Coleman goal. It was, to me, it kind of felt like once that Connor Zary goal went in or counted, it kind of felt inevitable that Calgary was going to tie it. It just felt like it was just the tide. Like the ice was tilted a little bit for Calgary in favor. But yeah, like you said, it was the game was turned before the Coleman goal. But yeah, maybe even before that though, you could say the Nurse turnover past the blue line, like the trying to dipsy doodle when he could. I know it's so cliche, but puck's deep. Like how easily you just chip that into the corner and go change and everything's fine and probably no goal against.
Those cliches, man. A lot of the time,
but they kind of work.
Right.
They kind of work. They're a reason why they're a cliche, because most of the time it's the case of what should happen. So so that's probably a play there, and some laziness that if they got taken care of the second period, probably not talking about an Oilers loss tonight.
Touche. All right, last order of business. It is the Damon Bunting Real Estate Player of the Game. I'm going to let Benny do that, but I'll read the liner. Damon Bunting, consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 17 years. He's community-driven, understands what it takes to make a difference in our city, so check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Benny Thompson, the honors are yours.
I think the NHL got it right with their first star tonight, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I thought he was the best player that was wearing blue tonight. I thought he was great in his own end, in the offensive zone. Obviously, putting up 3 points is very nice. I thought he was getting the PK, power play. It just, to me, it looked like, I was watching the game with a buddy, and he's like, this looks like 100-point Nuge. I don't think we're seeing 100-point Nuge ever again, but who knows? But yeah, I thought Nuge was pretty damn good tonight. I thought overall his line was pretty good. So Nuge for me gets player of the game. I'm gonna try to keep it away from McDavid and Drow, away for one of their crazy games where they go off for 4 or 5 points. So
there'll be a few of those. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yep.
Benny, I thought you did pretty good for your first game. Well done, sir.
Thank you. You as well.
All right, we're back, baby. It is the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show. The Oilers fall 4-3 in the shootout to the Calgary Flames, pick up a point. They're back in action Saturday night against the Vancouver Canucks, looking for the first win of the regular season. That's going to do it for the post-game show. As always, a big thank you to everybody who listened, everybody who watched. We appreciate you so very, very much. Be sure to tell your friends. This EST train is coming along quite nicely, and the more the merrier. We appreciate that all the time. Okay, the Oilers, 0-1 to start the season. They'll look to atone, like I said, on Saturday against the Vancouver Canucks. It's going to be a busy Saturday. Elks in action as well. We'll have more of a breakdown tomorrow on the Nielsen Show starting at 6 a.m., and then the rest of the shows throughout the day as we're back into the NHL season. It's going to be a lot of fun. For Benny Thompson, for Matt Cassian, and Reid Wilkins, I'm Tom Gazzola saying enjoy the rest of your night. We will talk to you tomorrow. Ciao.